G'day there guys, it's your Aussie hubby Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you like today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good episode stuff, things, whatever. Thank you. Posted by user ThrowRA89891. Titled, My fiancé told me he is tired of hiding who he is from me, and now I'm not sure I want to get married. So my fiancé, 26 male, and I, 25 female, have been dating for 3 years. We have known each other for 8 years and just got engaged a year ago. We are also long distance since he is military, so only see each other for maybe 4 to 5 days a month, with the exception of summers when I move wherever he is to stay with him for a month or two. So throughout the last 3 years of the relationship, it became very evident that my fiancé, let's call him Dave, held some pretty serious prejudices. For example, he passionately dislikes fat people and would consistently insult strangers and make disparaging jokes about fat people. He prided himself on being an imperialist, proudly called himself a sexist, and didn't talk to women unless it was for relationship purposes, and also said my brother might be treated differently by police because he looks threatening. My brother and I are black. Dave is white. Anyway, I addressed all of these things whenever they came up, and we had multiple conversations in which he decided it was wrong to hold these beliefs. However, after addressing them, he would get extremely upset if I called him out on saying anything slightly prejudicial throughout the relationship, because he would say he doesn't hold those beliefs anymore. Last month, we got into a pretty big argument about why systemic racism is bad. He said it makes the US look bad and it weakens our foreign influence, so therefore it is bad. Whereas I am of the mind that it is bad because black people, including myself, are human beings and deserve to be treated with an equal amount of dignity, respect, and general decentness. This argument escalated, and he started going on a rant of how tired he is of stepping over eggshells around me and how he can never find the right words to make me happy, and that he is tired of hiding who he is around me. This was very shocking, and I tried to probe more on what he was hiding, and basically, he revealed all of the prejudices I thought he had gotten over. He still had, and was just trying to suppress them around me. He mentioned one of the things he's tired of hiding is that he still strongly dislikes fat people and doesn't see a problem with that. But I have suspected that this has been the cause of a lot of his behavior, such as 1. Asking me how much I've eaten every day and what time I ate. Don't eat after 8 p.m. 2. Telling me to drink water all the time. 3. Insulting my friends for gaining weight. 4. Telling his own mother not to eat fatty foods. 5. Asking why some people in my family were fat. And 6. Telling me he doesn't want to get me pregnant because he wants me to be skinny longer. Countless other little things here and there, but whenever I said, "Do you have a problem with fat people still?" he would get defensive and pretend I was imagining it. Again, we are long distance, so I suppose I don't get to see the person he is all of the time. But now that he's told me, I feel like I can't trust him, and he is sucking up because he knows I don't want to do this anymore because it feels like a lie. So we're seeing a friend of his for marriage counseling. I put it in parentheses because the guy is not qualified and talks to Dave outside of sessions all the time, and even brought his own wife to a session. And now, Dave said he's ready to change and leave these prejudices behind, really, this time. I have lost trust and, honestly, have not felt the same about our relationship since that day. Although he's saying that he'll change this time, I'm not sure if he means it, or is just trying to placate me into staying in the relationship, then reverting back whenever he feels like he has me. Plus, I believe these prejudices stem from a lack of empathy and insecurity that reflect in other areas, like the way he reacted to the pandemic. Completely ignored any rules, and felt like he could get me sick too because I'm young, even though I told him I do not want to get sick. I also reminded him that I'm high risk because I have asthma, to which he said, "Ugh, I forgot you're unhealthy." He's consistently putting me down for my genes, and even explicitly said, my genes are superior to yours. Anyways, he said what I wanted to hear in order to make me feel safe enough to move down for the summer, and when I got there late March, he didn't want to take any precautions that we had previously discussed. For example, wearing a mask. He says, I'm not a face mask kind of guy, or having hand sanitizer in the car, and actually argued with me when I insisted and was condescending, calling me mum and rolling his eyes. With all of that said, sorry, I know that's a lot. Does anyone have any advice on what I should do? Run. Yes, the statement, my genes are superior to yours, is enough right there for you to run for the hills. All of the other prejudices should make you run even faster. OP says, just want to defend him slightly on that superior gene statement for more context, but he claims he was referring to athleticism. He has a hyper fascination with physique and always comments on other men's muscles or athleticism. For example, every time he watches a show or movie, he will comment on how the man's physique looks. Don't think it's necessarily a race thing, more of our specific families and his horror about some of my family members being obese and me having asthma. But then again, he did say that his only black friend, who was tall and buff, would breed well 5 years ago. Yikes. Yeah, that was another argument. Guys, I'm really embarrassed about staying in this relationship. The more I think about it, the more I'm disappointed in myself for naively thinking that his continued silence on these things meant he had changed them. Don't be ashamed or disappointed in yourself for being with him. It's not your fault he turns out to be a craphead. There are lessons to be learned, and you'll grow from them. On another note, though, don't defend him. To me, there's a certain limit to what people can say within certain contexts, and I tend to draw the line when people start seeing themselves inherently superior over others. That's a hell of a slippery slope. Sure, he likes male physique and athleticism, and he can be obsessed with that all he wants. He can even grade male physique according to what he thinks is best and rate himself on that scale. But draw the line there. That's all it is, a certain level of athleticism. It doesn't mean being athletic is better than not being athletic. It doesn't mean he has superior genes, and it doesn't make you objectively better in any way. It doesn't mean that this is the grading scale everyone should use to determine people's worth, like he is obviously doing by shaming fat people. It's clear to me he is one of those, I think this is important, so it should be objectively important, and everyone should agree with me, kind of a-holes. I dealt with them, and they're as philosophically inconsistent as they are obnoxious and narcissistic. Honestly, if he can't see how navel-gazy he is being, it sure shows he only cares about his physique and hasn't spent a minute developing his brain as well. People like him are impossible to argue with. If I were you, I'd get the hell away from him. Updates. Firstly, thank you everyone for your inputs. The run comment was pretty brutal, but effective. I broke off the engagement 3 days ago via phone call. I have not figured out how I will return the ring, but thinking by insured mail. The call itself wasn't horrible because I think he was in shock, but a couple of highlights from the call are, I might have lied, fine, but you're a liar too. You lied about loving me. Not trying to guilt trip you, but you've destroyed me. I have nothing now and have no idea what I'm going to do with myself. Are you seeing someone else? You're making a huge mistake. All I wanted was to be a good husband to you, 2x. These comments were hard to hear because my worst fear is that I preemptively cut off a relationship with a man who is going through active change, and who loves me dearly. But at the end of the day, I realized I don't trust that he will change genuinely, and I have no idea how to measure that progress, since he has proved to hide parts of himself around me. He hasn't tried to contact me since I broke things off, and I'm grateful for that. I think it would make everything so much worse. I am grieving such an immense loss, which is hard to communicate, because others see it as a win by leaving an unhealthy relationship. Again, Thanks everyone for the advice. Take the time to grieve and perhaps schedule an appointment with a licensed therapist. You might need to undo some of the work you did with the relationship counselor who clearly didn't have your best interests in mind. Seconded, I hope you see this, OP. Grief is normal and hard, even when you know it's the right move. Please take care of yourself. Big hugs. Third this, and I have broken ties with my own dad, and while that had been toxic to me, people around me were happy that I finally made the decision, etc. I still needed the time to digest it a lot. And it's hard to show any negative emotions on something you're complimented on. For me, it was my own dad I share some traits and DNA with. For you, it's someone you thought you'd spend the rest of your life with. So please do spare enough time to be sad. It is sad. Therapies are for times like this, I think. You need to heal. You did the right thing, but it's traumatic. All of those comments he made to you are all centered around him trying to guilt you, but none of them ask about your well-being and how he could have done better. I know it's hard, but you've made the right decision. I'm proud of you, OP. Exactly. OP didn't destroy him or the relationship. He did that himself. He is a controlling, intolerant, misogynistic bigot. Manipulative, too. Bigot. I wanted to expand on this, based on his comment that he views himself as imperialist, and then had the comments that he did not support the racial justice protests because it made America look bad, reveals that he never really changed that belief either. He obviously holds the belief that the status quo, aka white and male, power structure in America is superior to other cultures, and any attempt to change that by those not in the status quo is not America. I would have deep worries for any partner of his, especially those that are of a different race than him. There are many stories of domestic abuse and murder out there of men, especially military men, with this belief, and his controlling behavior only deepens that fear. I really wish men like this came with a warning label on them because he needs dramatic help. He wants a wife that he feels fundamentally superior to. He sees her as the spoils of war, and I'm willing to bet that he believes his status as a member of the military credits him with what he perceives as American superiority and dominance. It's such a weird thing for men like me to understand. My wife is black and I am white. If I ever felt superior to a woman in any way, I would have no desire to date or marry her. What would be the point? That's not love. Posted by user ThrowSB with boyfriend. Titled, Will my boyfriend, 27 male, leave me, 26 female, for my sugar baby past? Now, when I met my boyfriend Tom, not his real name, I had an arrangement with a sugar daddy. I never loved that man, and I was upfront with Tom about my relationship. Tom wasn't happy about it, but I made clear to him that I enjoy the attention I was getting from my arrangements, and he accepted it. We dated for another half a year, and decided I didn't want Tom to feel bad about it, and I broke up with my sugar daddy. We have been together for almost 3 years now. Tom was always very shy. However, recently, he became much more confident and outgoing. He told me he is hanging out with one of his friends who is a pickup artist. I read about them, and it seems those people are very manipulative and train themselves how to seduce women. I like Tom being confident and outgoing, but he also started to say many derogatory things about women who sleep around. I knew that my boyfriend never liked my past arrangements, and yesterday we had an argument when he brought it up and said that he should not have dated me. He later apologized, but I had an anxiety attack and I could not sleep at night. I am a pretty girl, but now I feel like I'm not enough for Tom. I love him and wanted to marry, but I don't feel secure anymore. Do you think Tom will change his mind? Edit, thank you for all your replies. I don't think I am a sex worker. I will talk to him in the evening and ask for counseling. Wait, you continued this arrangement whilst dating Tom, is that right? I told him on the 3rd date, and he still dated me. I didn't know I was that hurtful to him. Oh, come on now. You even say in your post you broke up with your sugar daddy because you didn't want Tom to feel bad. You can't play the I didn't know card. The fact you decided to get a sugar daddy in the first place is between you and your conscience. It's not up to others to judge what two consenting adults agree upon. However, you can't pretend you didn't know how disrespectful it was to keep getting paid for whatever simulacrum of a relationship your sugar daddy and you had agreed upon, 6 months into an actual relationship just because you liked the attention. It's not to say Tom isn't responsible for accepting to date you in the first place, and his misogynistic tendencies are only on him, of course. He let you deepen his insecurities and failed to either communicate with you or stand up for himself. You played with him out of convenience for your ego, but he let you play with him because of a lack of self-respect or self-awareness. If you want things to work out between you, I would recommend to seek some professional counseling because there's a lot of resent and misunderstanding between you two, and it's starting to bubble up in really bad ways. When we dated, I didn't see Tom as a serious boyfriend. Only after a few months, I noticed how kind he is. That's why I broke up with that old man. He was never misogynistic before, it's only after he met this pickup artist. I will ask him about counseling. Do you think we can still be together? He accepted a situation he was unhappy with for 6 months because he liked you. It has to have a cost on his self-esteem. He had to live half a year knowing that every time he wasn't up to your standards, you had another dude on speed dial who would pay you and give you your dopamine boost for, I don't know, whatever you agreed to do for, to, and with him. At some point, you really need to stop excusing yourself and put yourself in his shoes. Do you think you would be together today if he had kept a regular butt buddy for the first 6 months of your relationship? Always the same one, and who would praise her benefits in your presence? And he was never misogynistic before? The misogyny might be a recent development, or might always be lingering, just not expressed explicitly. The pickup artist merely found an eager listener in your boyfriend's buried insecurities, as this type of person often does. And I will ask him about counseling. Do you think we can still be together? Maybe. I mean, it depends on how far deep this rabbit hole he is, and if you manage to clear the tacit tension between you. For what you said, neither of you hurt the other beyond anything unacceptable, so it's really a matter if you can forgive yourselves and manage to create healthy ways to communicate with each other. Update. I talked to Tom in the evening and we broke up. I still cannot believe it. We had a talk yesterday and it went badly. I asked Tom about our last arguments, and he said he wanted to break up last weekend, but he knew I would be hurt and he could not make himself too. He told me that he felt bad about my arrangement, and he always saw it as sex work. When we dated, he really liked me and enjoyed our time together, but now he wants to move on. He was sorry for being silent all those years because he wasn't confident enough to break up, and he thought he could forget about it eventually. I asked him about counseling, but he refused. He said that he read a lot in the past few weeks and made his mind up already. He doesn't think he can move on. When I asked if his friend influenced his decision, he became very defensive. He said that his friend made him a more mature and assertive person. He wants to work on himself before he starts dating. When I asked if we can date in the future, he said he loved me, but he cannot consider me a girlfriend anymore. He cannot deal with the fact that I had sex with an old man for gifts while I was conventionally dating him. He's still angry about it and feels jealous. I explained that I was in a bad place in my life. He understands, but he was also in a bad spot many times and somehow figured things out. I said I love him and ensured that my past sugaring arrangement meant nothing for me and I wouldn't do it again. He said he values sex very much and it felt very cheap that I shared it with the other person for money. He said it still hurts him even after 3 years. Tom said I can live in his place for another month and he will help me to find a new place. I understand why some people may see it as sex work, but for me, this arrangement was just a relationship with benefits. I may not be the smartest girl, but I cannot believe he wants to throw away 3 years of our relationship, and I really feel bad now. He said that I am very pretty and I can date other guys, but I am crying. Other guys I dated were jerks, and the only serious boyfriend I had in my life hates me. I will try to find an older man that can talk to Tom and explain that relationships don't have to be perfect. We still live together, thus he might still change his mind. I am really sorry for the pain I caused to him, and I don't want us to break up. Edit. I accept I was a sex worker, and I hurt Tom. That was one-off, and I never cheated on my boyfriend. It was 2 years ago. How can I help him? Edit 2. You people are hateful. All messages are just awful. I was not serious with that man, I was serious with my boyfriend. I tried to save our relationship. Croaky Poem says, It's over, I'm sorry to tell you. He has moved on from the sounds of it. I'd go after someone else and try to move on as well. I would advise OP to try to find and invest her time in a very progressive potential partner. A history of prostitution is a deal breaker for the vast majority of people. Maybe set up an old profile that puts her experience as a sex worker right out in the open to screen out all the people who will have a problem with it. From what she wrote, the boyfriend is only at the beginning of his pickup artist career. He still behaved civil and still gave her time to find her own place. If Tom is any decent, he will soon discover a new world of girls who didn't have this kind of past. Hell, he probably will find prettier girls. He's young, only 27 years old, and he has time on his side. I am sure his friend already explained to him that. Edit. I did a bit of pickup artist myself, and I saw how it works, i.e., a nerd becoming a social butterfly in 2 to 3 years. Sorry, OP, I don't think there is anything wrong with you. Former sex work is unattractive, and unfortunately, this is the stigma you will carry. I see it like a -1 of your hotness, because you are not a full-blown escort. However, it's not the reason to break up, especially that Tom is already dating you for a long period. What really happened is the power imbalance in your relationship, i.e., when you started dating, the power was on your side. Pretty girl versus shy nerd. But now it's your boyfriend who upgraded, i.e., became more confident and outgoing, and he's looking for a better partner. Assuming this is real, your ex is now of the age where he is looking for a long-term partner, wife. He has known for a while it's not you because you used to be a sex worker and were a sex worker when you were dating him, at least at the beginning. He decided he does not want to deal with that for the rest of his life. That is a reasonable and valid reason to end the relationship. Sorry, but it's over. You will need to accept that. Alright, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, I want to do a huge shout out to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You should be up on the screen now. I love you all, and I think every single one of you are amazing for supporting the channel in the way that you do. Again, thank you so much for supporting me. And again, if you did enjoy today's video, please do tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. All of your hot takes, opinions, whatever you think, really, whatever's going on in your life right now, I'd love to hear down in the comments below. Before I leave, I'd also like to announce that I'm going to start doing meme content again on the second channel. I know it's been a while, so click on the Markee head on the screen without the Australian flag behind him if you want to go see some memes. And as always, guys, have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.